We're Catholic Deposition! We're the ultimate!
We're the Sisters of Alpha Omega Phi!
And we're all the Courtside Seats!
Hi, and welcome to the Courtside Seats post-game show. I'm Cody Norman. This is Daniel Zimmett. Make sure you follow along with us all season long at courtsideseats.onmason.com, on Twitter at Mason_courtside, and on Facebook at facebook.com/courtsideseats. Today, Dan and I headed out to the BB&T Classic to watch our Mason Patriots take on the Maryland Terrapins.
Yeah, the outcome really wasn't what we hoped for today. Mason fell 69-62 to the Terrapins. Really a sloppy game all around. Both teams ended up actually making 22 baskets, but Mason was 22 for 71 from the field to Maryland's 22 for 49. So how we got so many shots up, I don't know, but we could not make a single shot. We were 12 for 39 by the guards, which was the most surprising stat for me. And we only had points from Sherrod and Patrick Holloway.
Yeah, no points from Brian tonight. And perhaps more surprising than that, 0 minutes altogether for Vertrell Vaughns. Both of those, or his minutes rather, were eaten up by Patrick Holloway, who played extremely well today, and Vaughn Gray, who had an exceptional game against Rhode Island the other night.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the biggest thing, though, or one of the biggest things that we saw, Johnny Williams, who actually has been leading the team in minutes, was 3 for 13 from the field. Not taken out, stayed in, took some shots that we really questioned, I think, a little bit sometimes, but I was surprised to see him stay in.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, though, that he was throwing up a lot of hook shots from from the free throw line. Yeah. He was doing a lot of part of that may have been because of the size of Maryland. They got a guy in there 7 feet 1 inch. Not something we see very often here in the CAA, and Alex Lynn.
Yeah, I think if you're going to take any positive point from the game today, turnover ratio. We forced 19 turnovers from Maryland. You said on the ride home, they tried to do everything they could to give us that game. If we could make a basket sometime throughout this game, we would have won this game easy. I think you would have called it a laugher or something like that, I think is how you phrased it. We only committed 9 turnovers as well. Great stat on our end. We actually tied the game and took the lead early in the second half, but shot selection just went down the drain. Once that happened, Coach Hewitt even said he was really disappointed in our mindset and the shots we were taking.
Yeah, you mentioned we were 22 for 71. If we shot 50% just like Maryland did, if we shot 50%, that's 26 more points that we left on the table there. So 26 more points in a 7-point game. It really, at least in my mind, would have been a laugher. But the one thing that really stands out to me after we took that lead, you mentioned poor shot selection and really sloppy decision making. The one thing that stands out was about a minute left in the game, and we're down by 5 points, and we jack up a 3-pointer with about 20 seconds left on the shot clock.
I felt like we were rushed the entire game. I really felt like we were rushed. One guy would take the ball. Everyone else stood still for a amount of time. I remember Sherrod got the ball in the corner. Yeah. As soon as they saw him get the ball, everyone froze. Yeah. No one moved. And I don't understand why we wouldn't continue to move. It's almost like they know as soon as Sherrod's going to get the ball, he's going to shoot. And that's not always the case. Yeah. I think Sherrod's an excellent passer. So I think they need to really keep the mindset that everyone is always in the game. Everyone always has the opportunity to get a pass from any player.
Well, it almost seems like we're running plays and we're running them all the way through, but the minute we get to that end point with our plays, that's where we stop. We're not going to continue to run them, a second, a third, or fourth times like some of these other teams that we're seeing, which we need to do a better job of.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, Cody and I are going to step away real quick. When we come back, we're going to give our keys to success, so stick around.
Hi, my name is John. I'm a Mason alum, and you're watching Courtside Seats.
Welcome back to the Courtside Seats post-game show. Cody Norman, Daniel Zimmett here with you live. We're going to take a look at our keys to success. Dan?
Yeah, I'll start off with my keys here. First one, limit the turnovers. like I've said all season, and Coach Hewitt has alluded to, we got to get that number under 11. Did an excellent job on the turnovers today. A+ is my rating for turnovers, Cody. I'm giving my ratings all season long, whether you like it or not. A+ on the turnovers. We held it under 10. We forced Maryland on 19 turnovers. Great job on the turnover ratio. Second one, take and make the three. We were 4 for 17, 24%. Not a great day from the three-point range. Patrick Holloway had 3, a great game for Patrick. And Anale Okoloji had 1. I don't think it hurt us a lot since Maryland shot poorly from the three-point line as well. They shot 18%. I'm going to give us around a C, an average for 3. Although we shot poorly, so did Maryland. And if you're equal to the other team, you should be all right in that field, I think. Finally, win the rebound battle. We did not win the rebound battle today. We lost 49-34. However, we won the offensive rebound battle 15-13. And that's often just as important as winning the overall battle for second chance points, which really come in handy later in the game when you're really fighting on those boards. I think it was even more impressive that we won the offensive rebound battle with a guy like Alex Len from Maryland, a 6'1" guy from outside the country, so he's a real physical, scrappy player. So a great job on the keys today. I'm going to give us a solid B for our keys.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't play poorly. You know, according to those keys, I really don't think we played poorly. The one thing that I think we have a little bit of a gripe about is the 49-34 rebounding battle there. You know, let's go ahead and take a look at my keys. Number 1, spread the ball, spread the scoring. You know, I think today was the definition of the opposite of that. You know, today we had 2 guys really controlling the scoring for us, in Sherrod Wright and Patrick Holloway. Both of those guys with 17 points apiece. That's 34 of our 62 points between those 2 guys in particular. You know, as Dan mentioned earlier, you know, 12 of 32 or something like that for our guards. You know, not a great night for our guards. And you know, the rest of our team after Patrick and Sherrod, the rest of our team was 10 for 47. You know, so almost at a 20% clip is what we shot the ball at. Number 2 is win the transition game. You know, we had 21 points off of turnovers and 8 fast break points today. We seem to be over-penetrating way too much. You know, at 19 turnovers, we should have been able to get the ball up and down the floor and score the basketball at a higher clip than we did. You know, we were over-penetrating. We had our guard, instead of going 3-on-2 or 3-on-1 or 2-on-1, you know, we had our guard going way too far into the middle of the paint and, you know, really making transition defense extremely easy for the Terrapins today. Number 3, we need to attack the basket and get to the line. You know, I've said all season long we need to get that number over 20 free throws per game. You know, that's about where the rest of our conference is at least at the top. You know, with Delaware and Drexel, both of those teams are shooting free throws at about 20, somewhere between 20 and 22 free throws per game. Tonight we were at 18. You know, we were 14 for 18 from the line, and Maryland was at 23 for 29 from the line. You know, so we gave up 9 points. You know, we gave up 9 points from the free throw line tonight, which, you know, we have to get that number up. We have to be scoring about 20 to 22 points a game from the line.
Yeah, I mean, the line, getting to the line, I think, is, as I've said week after week, is the most important thing. A lot of our easy baskets should be coming from the free throw line. But you mentioned one of our biggest losses was the rebound battle.
Yep.
And our big men coming into the season were mismatching everyone. I mean, Alex Len mismatches almost anyone in the NCAA. But we should be bigger and stronger than these guys. What is wrong with our post play?
You know, it's interesting. You know, we coming into the season, as you mentioned, I think the big men were supposed to really be this team's saving grace.
Yeah.
You know, with some inexperienced guards. Obviously, a guy like Sherrod Wright was supposed to handle a majority of the load. But with Eric Copes, Johnny Williams, John Arledge, you know, Marko Gianicic, all 4 of those guys, very capable scorers.
Yeah.
You know, very capable defenders, and we just have not gotten the job done. And because part of that, to me, is we've got guys like Marko and John and Johnny who shoot the ball exceptionally well from the perimeter, but we need to get them down on the block.
Yeah.
You know, we're not throwing up hook shots from you know, the free throw line. That's not playing back to the basket basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
I think really it's 2 things. It's we're being passive. I feel like when we get under there, we're not as aggressive as we can be. Right. Well, I saw one time today Eric go up against Alex Len, and they body slammed in midair, and it was awesome to see because that just showed how aggressive Eric can be. But especially Johnny Williams is a guy, we think can be incredible, but he's just not angry, so to speak. He needs to be mean down low. I think we're a little bit passive, and I think really we're a little bit sloppy right now. Sometimes we'll get a pass down low in the lane, we'll try to go up, and it'll slip out of our hands, or it'll pop off right before we dunk it in. Right. I think we just need to slow down and take our time, especially in that post play. Don't need to be throwing up hook shots from the free throw line.
Right.
Take our time. We have the presence. We have the ability to get inside and make easy layups and take slams. I don't know why we're not taking advantage of that, but I think as the season moves forward, we're going to be able to take better advantage of it as we get experience, all playing together.
Well, I think the one thing that you mentioned, the Alex Lynn, Eric Copes kind of body slam in midair, that was on Eric Copes it looked like he was trying to dunk over Alex.
Yeah, he did. And I liked that.
Right, and it was outstanding. It was a great power move, an outstanding move to the basket. Eric wound up getting fouled and going to the line, making 1 of 2. It was a great move.
Yeah.
Something that I think we need to see for 40 minutes and not just one possession out of the entire game.
I think last year we saw a lot of Eric's what we call the baby hook.
Yeah.
And he's got such a nice baby hook, but I haven't seen it yet this year. No. I haven't seen any of it yet. Maybe as we move forward, we're going to start to see more. I think we will have a better inside presence as the season moves forward. Yeah. Cody and I are going to step away again for one more commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to give you a look at our day at the BB&T Classic. You're not going to want to miss it.
I'm Alan Scott.
I'm Stephanie Ward.
We're Mason alumni.
And you're watching Courtside Seats. Go Mason!
Woo, let's go!
Welcome back to the Courtside Seats post-game show here on Mason Cable Network, channel 231, or online at courtsideseats.onmason.com. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our day at the BB&T Classic.
What?
Do you like Les Mis, or Rob? That was our kicker. His name was Kramer. I have to call Mark. You don't like it? No. I liked it, though.
You know why I like it? I haven't had it.
I like it.
I want it, though.
It sounds like an awesome idea, and I love mint, but it just was...
Too minty?
Yeah. It's so much mint.
So much mint.
So much mint. I thought it was going to be like mint chocolate chip.
Yeah, in theory it sounds like it's going to be delicious.
Yeah, mint chocolate chip, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mint, subpar.
It's
going to be a left and then an immediate right. It's going to be a left and immediate right after that.
You hear that, Cody? A left and then an immediate right.
Are you sure it says a left and an immediate left? All the way home.
No, dude, that's called a U-turn. But don't hit that guy. Don't hit him.
What's he doing?
I don't know, but just stay whatever you could. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to go beside you.
Go fast.
So wrong. Why can't you just stay on the road? Because it's telling me to get off.
It's wrong. Oh, why can't you just stay on the road? Proud of you. 12:59. I didn't complain. Cody, I'm not really sure where you're going. Hey, Daniel Simmons here. We're outside of the Verizon Center right now waiting for the Patriots to take on Maryland in the BB&T Classic. Let's go inside and take a look at the action. Do you know they asked some player his favorite candy, or like name us a new piece of candy? What is it, 130? What did she say? What's her section, 103? 103, I think?
Cody Norman here. Wasn't the outcome we were looking for, but we had a great time for a great cause. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our green and gold stars of the game.
We're the Green Machine at the Verizon Center, and you're watching Courtside Seats.
Welcome back to the Courtside Seats post-game show. We hope you enjoyed our look at the BB&T Classic today. Daniel Zimmick, Cody Norman. Right now we're going to take a look at our green and gold stars of the game. You want to start off, Cody?
Yeah, my first of all, my star of the game is not Daniel for yelling at me the whole way to the BB&T Classic.
I felt so bad. I felt really bad.
My star today is Sherrod Wright, a guy who set the tone for the Patriots today. Was 5 for 11 from the field, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. Was aggressive the entire game. He had 7 rebounds, which is one thing that I think gets extremely overlooked about this guy's game. Sherrod Wright, an outstanding rebounding guard in this league, 17 total points, but the downside, 6 turnovers by Sherrod Wright today. I think it's an understatement to say this guy is the MVP of our team this year. He's somebody who always sets the tone, especially offensively, but he's great at scoring, in transition. He's been knocking down a vast majority of his shots this year.
Right.
He's, again, today 5 for 11, almost 50% from the field, and he's one of those guys who has been leading emotionally as well as physically on the floor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think he is the MVP of the team so far. He has shown up every single game and played his best basketball so far, so that's really great for him. But I'm going with Patrick Holloway today. What a great game for Patrick. This is where we really saw his potential. 22 minutes, 17 points. At one point, he started the game 5 for 5, ended 7 for 13. An absolute great game. Gave us that spark we were looking for a lot of the time. Had some of the prettiest fadeaway threes. I didn't think he was going to get them off, but was able to fade away from defenders and nail them. And I really think he took advantage of his opportunity to play. Cody, he was asked in the post-game press conference if today was the game. He really thought he earned more playing time. And he says, every game is a game I can earn more playing time. Yeah. Every game is a chance for me to show Coach Hewitt what I can do. And Coach Hewitt joked and said, yeah, he absolutely does that every time he steps on the court. I think today is when we saw Patrick finally break out of his shell, showed a lot of maturity to step in, take those threes. It's tough to take threes when you're losing. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to send your team down even more. But he nailed them, so a lot of credit to Patrick. I think he's going to be a bright star for this team.
Yeah, Patrick not only from the three-point line, but this kid was attacking the basket. He was scoring from mid-range. He was getting all the way to the basket. I think one of our highlights this from our clip today was Patrick getting into the lane and scoring. He was one of our guys I mentioned over penetration.
Right.
He doesn't do that. He gets about free throw line extended, either knocks down a jump shot, finds a teammate, or he gets into the lane and knocks down a floater instead. But he never over penetrates. He's, to me, mature beyond his years as a freshman.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. What we would like to do is say we have a bunch of green and gold stars to choose from, but really these were the two guys that really stood out today. Yeah. And I'd like to see our guys really start to show our potential. When do you think we're going to see how great Coach Hewitt and Brian Allen keep saying that we really are?
Honestly, everybody keeps making a huge deal of this out-of-conference schedule. I think a lot is made of this, our trip in, or our games against Maryland, our games against UVA, our game out against Mercer, New Mexico, teams like that, who New Mexico now ranked in the top 25 in the nation. But realistically, our out-of-conference schedule isn't going to do a whole lot for us as far as getting into the NCAA tournament. It might bump us up a couple seeds or something along those lines, but it's not going to get us into the NCAA tournament, not with the conference that we're playing in right now. A couple years ago, this was, the CAA was a conference where we could see, multiple teams get in, VCU, Old Dominion, us. Think about it this year, Drexel, Delaware.
Right.
But our in-conference schedule just is not going to be strong enough to warrant 2 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, we're going to start to see our guys really show up when conference schedule that time comes around. I'd like to see it sooner, but I think that's when we really get up for games. We mentioned on our radio show, if you can't get up for the game today, when are you ever going to be able to get up? Right. We took 71 shots, so we apparently were up enough to shoot the ball that many times, but you got to nail those shots. And I think, unfortunately, that we're not going to be able to see our guys really show what we can do until that time. Not necessarily because it's only conference time, but because we have that experience playing with each other. We have a lot of guys on this team that didn't play last year or weren't even here last year. I mean, you got Marco, Patrick, Johnny Williams was hurt. I mean, a lot of these guys haven't played with each other before. Right. So I think if you give that some time and let it progress and be patient, I think we have to be patient too because we want to see these results right now. But we all have to be patient. I think once tournament or conference time comes around, we're going to start to be pleased.
Yeah, as much as we'd like to win these games, and it was nice going up against UVA and beating UVA, it would have been outstanding to get a win against New Mexico and a win against Maryland, on our resume early this season. But to me, as long as we are improving, throughout the season, as long as we're keeping those turnover numbers down, as long as we're getting to the free throw line, taking a lot of shots, the shooting will come. This is a good shooting team. Even though they haven't shown it this early in the season, it's a good shooting team. We're going to start knocking down those shots, and before long, we're going to hit our stride when it come conference time, come conference tournament time.
Yeah, which is when
that's when we're going to get into the NCAA tournament this year. It's conference tournament.
I mean, we've been living and dying by the jump shot lately, but I think we've shown we at least have a little bit of a presence inside now, whether, like I said, I think we're a little passive right now, but I think at least we're getting that mix and getting that presence inside. We're going to see progression. Do you think our free throw shooting will improve? Are we past it? I mean, we shot pretty well from the line today. We didn't get there as many times as you want, but we shot pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, looking up and down this roster, I don't think Eric Copes is going to be one of those guys that knocks down 70% of his shots.
Which is okay.
Right, which we're going to have to live with. But, aside from that, we mentioned Johnny Williams, John Arledge, Sherrod Wright, Patrick Holloway, Vertrell Vaughn, so the list goes on of guys on this team who are very good shooters. And I think that will show at the free throw line as the year progresses. 14 for 18 today, certainly not a bad showing at the free throw line. And with those guys that I just mentioned, mix in Brian Allen, Corey Edwards is not a bad free throw shooter himself, Vaughn Gray, all of those guys can shoot the basketball, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think once the shooting progresses and we get better nailing those jump shots, I think it'll have a direct impact on how our free throw shooting goes as well. All right, that's all the time we have here today. Special thanks to Jake McLaren, our producer. Our next broadcast will be December 8th, which is a week from yesterday, next Saturday, and a home game against Northern Iowa. Remember our last game at Northern Iowa? I think it was our bracket buster, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was our bracket buster on ESPN, so that's sure to be a good game. You're not going to want to miss it. Cody Norman, I'm Daniel Zimmett. Thanks for watching, everyone.